Asterisk there are losses so slow, so quiet, you don't hear them leave. They don't slam doors or burn bridges, they slip out while you're folding laundry, making dinner, answering emails. And by the time you notice what's gone, it's already been missing for years. Asterisk my name is Claire Reynolds. I'm 33, and I've been married to Daniel for 8 years. He's a good man by most standards, he works hard, pays the bills on time, doesn't raise his voice, and never forgets to lock the front door. But somehow, he forgot me. Asterisk it wasn't always like this. We met in college. He liked that I laughed with my whole face, and I liked that he listened more than he spoke. We had dreams once, small ones, but they felt enough. A house with a porch, 2 kids, yearly road trips. We got most of those things. But no one told me you could build the life you asked for and still feel like a stranger in it. Asterisk Daniel comes home at 6:45 every evening. He places his keys in the bowl by the door, loosens his tie, and says the same words, "Hey. How was your day?" Asterisk I say, "Busy. Yours?" Asterisk he replies, "The usual." And that's it, we eat dinner in silence. The clink of cutlery fills the space between us. Sometimes he reads news on his phone. Sometimes I scroll through photos of people I don't talk to anymore. I used to ask questions, try to spark something. But silence is easier when you're tired of not being heard. Asterisk on Thursdays, I work late. I coordinate logistics for an event. Planning company downtown. I'm good at managing chaos, at making other people's moments feel special. There's a man on my team named Mark Douglas. He's thoughtful, quick with humor, always pays attention. One Thursday, as I gathered my things, he looked at me and said, "You look tired, the kind that sleep doesn't fix." Asterisk I should have brushed it off. I almost did. Asterisk but I didn't. Asterisk instead, I laughed. A small, accidental laugh that felt like breath after holding it too long. He smiled in return, nothing inappropriate, just kind. And something in me shifted. Asterisk I told myself it was harmless. A moment. A flinch of connection. We'd never spoken. Outside of work, never lingered after meetings. But the next morning, he brought me coffee. Asterisk, thought you might need a head start, he said, handing me the cup. Asterisk I do, I replied, smiling more than I meant to. Thanks. Asterisk that evening, I went home and placed the cup on the kitchen counter. Daniel didn't ask where it came from. He didn't notice it at all. Asterisk the following Thursday, Mark walked with me to my car. The air was crisp, the streetlights humming above us. Asterisk, big weekend plans, he asked. Asterisk laundry. Grocery shopping. The usual. Asterisk he smirked. Sounds glamorous. Asterisk I shrugged. I'm a married woman. Glamour's not part of the contract. Asterisk he looked at me then, not in the way men leer, but like he was seeing something he wasn't sure I meant to show. Asterisk, you ever miss who you used to be? He asked quietly. Asterisk I swallowed. All the time. Asterisk it was an answer I hadn't meant to give. But it was the truth. Asterisk that night, Daniel sat beside me on the couch, watching a documentary. Our knees touched, but we didn't. The house was warm, but I felt cold. Asterisk I thought about Mark's question. I thought about how I used to dance barefoot in the kitchen, sing badly in the car, read novels past midnight. Now, I track bedtime routines, weekly budgets, and Daniel's cholesterol numbers. I am not unhappy. But I am not anything. Asterisk at 11:12 p.m., my phone buzzed. Asterisk Mark. Just realized I never asked, what book were you reading last week? Sounded interesting. Asterisk I stared at the screen. I didn't reply. But I didn't delete the message either. Asterisk instead. I sat there, phone glowing in my lap, husband snoring beside me, and I whispered into the dark. Asterisk, this is how it starts, isn't it? Not because I regretted it, but because I didn't trust myself not to reply. Asterisk I told myself it was precautionary, responsible. Like closing a window before the storm came. But the storm wasn't outside. It was me. Asterisk Daniel stood in the kitchen, pouring coffee into his travel mug. He wore the same blue shirt he always wore on Fridays, habit stitched into fabric. Asterisk, you'll be home for dinner? I asked. Asterisk he glanced up. Unless something explodes. Should be. Then he kissed my forehead without looking and left. I stood there long after the door clicked shut, thinking about how many times we'd done that exact exchange. If our marriage were a book, we'd been rereading the same chapter for 3 years. Asterisk at work, Mark was already at his desk. I pretended not to notice him, but something in me pulled toward his voice when he laughed at someone's joke. It was different than Daniel's. Looser. Unweighted. Asterisk he didn't bring me coffee this time. I felt both relieved and disappointed. Asterisk by lunchtime, we found ourselves alone in the supply closet, accidentally, at first. I reached for a stack of folders, he reached at the same time. Our fingers brushed. Asterisk, sorry, I muttered, stepping back. Asterisk he smiled. You're okay? Been avoiding me today? No, yeah, you have. Asterisk I looked down, heat rising in my neck. I just needed space to think. Asterisk he leaned against the shelf, not crowding me but not leaving either. About what? Asterisk I hesitated. Boundaries. Mine, mostly. Asterisk he nodded, serious now. I don't want to push. You know that, right? Asterisk I know. Asterisk I see you. But I'd rather be a friend than a mistake. Asterisk that word, mistake, hung in the air like static. I couldn't answer him. Not honestly. So I left with my folders and a heart beating faster than it had any right to. Asterisk that weekend, Daniel surprised me by suggesting we go out for dinner. No occasion. Just us. It felt like something a version of us might have done once. Asterisk at the restaurant. He asked about work. I told him about a chaotic client meeting. He listened. I watched him like a stranger might, tall, handsome in a subtle way, competent, contained. Asterisk then he said, you've seemed distracted lately. Asterisk I froze. Distracted. How? Asterisk just far away. Like you're always somewhere else in your head. Asterisk I wanted to say something honest. Something like I miss feeling alive, or I don't know who I am in this marriage anymore. But I smiled and said, work's just been stressful. Asterisk he accepted it. Maybe he wanted to. We finished dinner without further excavation. Asterisk later that night, I lay awake beside him, staring at the ceiling. Daniel slept soundly, one arm draped over his chest like a soldier at ease. I envied his peace. Asterisk I reached for my phone. No messages. I scrolled to Mark's contact, then stopped. Asterisk I could send something casual. Hope your weekend's good. Asterisk I could delete his number. Asterisk I did neither. Asterisk instead, I locked the screen and slipped the phone back under the pillow. Asterisk the next Thursday, we worked late again. Everyone else trickled out by 7. Mark lingered, organizing print samples with a kind of nervous precision. Asterisk I hovered near the copier, unsure whether I was waiting for it to finish or waiting for him to speak. Asterisk, you okay? He asked eventually. Asterisk fine. Asterisk you're lying. Asterisk I turned. He was closer than I expected. Asterisk Claire, he said softly. You don't have to do this. Pretend like nothing's wrong. Asterisk it's not that simple. Asterisk I'm not asking for anything, he said. But if you ever need someone to talk to. Asterisk he let the offer hang there, unassuming, open-ended. But beneath it was a pulse I felt in my throat. Asterisk we didn't touch. We didn't say anything else. But when I walked to my car, I didn't feel the cold. Asterisk that night, Daniel was watching basketball. I sat beside him, legs folded beneath me. He didn't look away from the screen. Asterisk, can I ask you something? I said. Asterisk sure. Asterisk, do you think we're happy? Asterisk he blinked, slow. Yeah. I mean, mostly. Why? Asterisk I don't know, I lied. Just wondering. Asterisk he paused the game. That surprised me. Are you happy? Asterisk I opened my mouth. Closed it. Tried again. I'm trying. He nodded like that was an answer, but it wasn't. Not really. Asterisk. The first time it happened, it didn't feel like a decision, it felt like gravity. Asterisk that Thursday stretched long. Meetings, last-minute client changes, printer jams. By the end of the day, my nerves were as frayed as the hem of my old cardigan. Everyone else had gone. Mark and I were still there, sitting on opposite sides of the break room table, finishing a late proposal. Asterisk, you okay? He asked, sipping lukewarm coffee from a paper cup. Asterisk I hesitated. No. But I'm functioning. That counts, right? Asterisk he smiled, then looked away. I hate how often we settle for that. Asterisk silence settled over us, not awkward, just heavy. I shifted in my chair, watching the steam curl from his cup. It felt too quiet to be harmless. Asterisk I shouldn't be here, I said, finally. Asterisk then. Why are you? Asterisk it wasn't a challenge. Just a question. And the truth was, I didn't know. Or maybe I did, and I didn't want to say it out loud. Saying it would turn thought into fact. Want into betrayal. Asterisk he stood, walking over to the window. I know this isn't simple, he said. I know you're married. I'm not trying to ruin anything. You're not the one doing the ruining, I whispered. He turned, and for a second, we just looked at each other. Not romantically. Not lustfully. Just, honestly. The kind of look you give someone when you know exactly what they're feeling because you feel it too. Asterisk then he asked the thing Daniel hadn't asked me in years. Asterisk, what do you want? My throat tightened. I didn't want Mark. Not really. What I wanted was to be chosen, to be considered, to be wanted in return. I wanted to feel alive in someone's eyes again. And in that moment, Mark gave me all of that without even touching me. Asterisk I stepped toward the door. Asterisk but I didn't open it. Asterisk Mark came closer. Not fast. Not assuming. Just enough that I could feel the electricity rise between us. My breath caught. Not in fear, but in anticipation of what I had already allowed to happen in my mind. Asterisk his hand lifted, slow. It hovered near my face like he was asking permission without words. I didn't flinch. I didn't stop him. That was my answer. Asterisk when he kissed me, it was quiet. Careful. Like something sacred. Or stolen. Asterisk and I let him. Asterisk I didn't think about Daniel. Not in that second. Not until the car ride home when guilt arrived like a ghost in the back seat. Asterisk Daniel was already in bed when I got in. The room smelled like his detergent and the lemon balm candle I'd lit that morning. Familiar. Safe. Suffocating. Asterisk he turned slightly, half asleep. Asterisk long night? Asterisk yeah, I said, slipping under the covers. Sorry. He grunted a reply and drifted back into sleep, but I didn't. My mind replayed every second. Not just the kiss, but the silence before it, the ache it answered, the way it didn't feel wrong until afterward. Asterisk I stared at the ceiling and tried to rationalize. Asterisk it was one moment. One mistake. Asterisk but that's the thing about moments. They echo. And mistakes don't stay small when you feed them with silence. Asterisk the next morning, I woke before Daniel. I watched him sleep, his breathing steady, his brow relaxed. There was a time. I loved that face so completely I could imagine no future without it. Now, I could barely remember what it felt like to be wanted by him. Asterisk he stirred and blinked at me. You okay? Asterisk yeah, I said too quickly. Just thinking. Asterisk he reached for my hand under the blanket. Held it without squeezing. Asterisk I've been meaning to plan something. Just us. Maybe a weekend away. I nodded, unsure if I wanted that out of guilt or obligation. At work, Mark didn't mention the kiss. He didn't text. He didn't even look at me longer than necessary. I told myself that was good. Professional. Respectful. But a part of me hated it. Asterisk because that meant it was real. Not just a fantasy. Not just a line flirted with, it had been crossed, quietly and completely. Asterisk and now, everything was different. Asterisk as I sat in my car during lunch, phone in hand, I scrolled to his name. Asterisk I didn't call. I didn't text. Asterisk but I didn't delete him either. Asterisk somewhere, I knew, once you allow someone in, really in, you don't get to pretend they were never there. Asterisk.